People who think they know everything are a great annoyance to those of us who do. Isaac Asimov. It's the reaction I've gotten my whole life, that I learn something and try to tell people in conversation, but when I tell them, they are annoyed. Adam Conover. Anyone who has declared someone else to be an idiot, a bad apple, is annoyed when it turns out in the end that he isn't. Friedrich Nietzsche. When I was a little boy in school, I had to dress up as a bunny, and there's a picture of me with an annoyed face, and when I saw it, I thought I should name myself Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny. I get very annoyed when people think I'm nice or diffident or a polite English gentleman. I'm a nasty piece of work, and people should know that. Hugh Grant. Status anxiety definitely exists at a political level. Many Iraqis were annoyed with the US essentially for reasons of status, for not showing them respect, for humiliating them. Alain de Botton. I'm always annoyed about why black people have to bear the brunt of everybody else's contempt. If we are not totally understanding and smiling, suddenly we're demons. Toni Morrison. I don't get dressed up every day. I'm very busy. I get really annoyed when people talk about me as a fashionista. I get dressed up when I have to go out. Most of the time, I'm running around in jeans. Iris Apfel. It's like there's some unwritten rule that if you're mates, you can say what you want to each other, and you don't really get that annoyed about it. Carl Pilkington. My sons and I thoroughly enjoy Legos. We go to the toy store every week for more. I never want to take what we build apart. I want to put it on a shelf. My wife is starting to get a little annoyed with the Legos lying around. Mark Wahlberg. I remember, when I was an up-and-coming comic, how annoyed I would be when the famous guys would show up and just take everyone's spots. Seth Rogen. My dreams were all my own. I accounted for them to nobody. They were my refuge when annoyed, my dearest pleasure when free. Mary Shelley. I don't really have any traits that I deplore. I get annoyed with myself sometimes, but that's about it. George Michael. I almost get annoyed at the fact that I'm not going to use all that I got. Jerry Lewis. I just get annoyed at myself. A lot of swearing goes on generally when I am driving. Lando Norris. When I said I didn't have a cent, I didn't. I used to get annoyed with people who said they were broke when they had $5. Paul Lind. I am annoyed by people that send messages via Facebook because I get an email telling me there is a message on Facebook, so I end up processing 2 messages for every one sent. Vince Cerf. I think people could be a bit friendlier. The only real contact you have with people is when they're annoyed if you've had a party, it's been a bit too noisy for them or something. Boy George. William Regal once told us he people watched when he was in the ring. He would see things that people would do. And if they annoyed him, chances are they would annoy someone else. A lot of times I'll just people watch when I'm traveling or at the airport or living everyday life. Alexa Bliss. If I get annoyed because I'm not in the headlines and don't do well in training, I won't do well if I have to go in. I've to be prepared because the World Cup isn't easy. Paulo Dybala. If I were gay, life would be a lot simpler. I'm kind of annoyed that I'm not. Grace Slick. I can understand why people get annoyed at being remembered for one thing, but a lot of actors aren't remembered for anything. I don't mind that. Julie Walters. I'm really annoyed by the wave of country music that's just a list of stuff. It almost sounds like LA people writing country music, because it's just a list of stuff. My pickup truck and my cowboy boots and my Levi's jeans and my girlfriend with the short shorts. It's so boring. Kathleen Hanna. My music puts people in a dreamy mood. It's edgy. It's nuanced. I get annoyed when people say it's R&B because it's not that simple. I call it futuristic soul. Raven Lenae. If you're going to play the bargaining game, you just need to make the other side mad. You want them to get a little annoyed. Then you know that you've come in with a good price. Christopher Voss. If we were faultless, we should not be so much annoyed by the defects of those with whom we associate. Francois Fenelon. New Yorkers, by reputation, are fast-talking, assertive and easily annoyed. I fit right in. Jane Polly. After years in white theaters, I dreaded working in colored houses. The noise, the stomping, whistling, and cheering that hadn't annoyed me when I was young was now something I dreaded. Ethel Waters. Name anything, high definition TV, computer obsolescence, and I'm pretty much annoyed by it. Martin Freeman. My door was open part of the time, and part of the time I tried to get a nap and their voices annoyed me, and I closed it. I kept it open in summer more or less, and closed in winter. Lizzie Andrew Borton. I fumbled my senior year in the playoffs. It just annoyed me. Saquon Barkley. If you find yourself annoyed at his lazy tendencies early on, be wary, because that's one trait of his that won't magically change when he gets a better job or finally joins the gym. Matthew Hussey. I get annoyed a lot with things. Josh Whitcomb. I pop gum. My parents get so annoyed with me. I know my dad wishes he never taught me how to do that. Hilary Duff. I'm not prolific, I go over stuff and it goes for me and sometimes against me. I'm annoyed that I don't do enough stuff off the cuff. It's a difficult thing to do something quickly and stand behind it. Ben Howard. A long time ago, I had a bird that annoyed me, and the bird had to go. The bird's neck was snapped. I would also snap Conor McGregor's neck in a similar fashion. Michael Bisping. The only thing that might have annoyed some mathematicians was the presumption of assuming that maybe the axiom of choice could fail and that we should look into contrary assumptions. Alonzo Church. I came to Turin above all for my family, because at Manchester, they had inserted a clause in our agreement which changed the situation considerably. It really annoyed me. Patrice Evra. I think I am too old to be doing teen movies. I am just kind of annoyed, because you have all these teen movies coming out with usually either Lindsay Lohan or Hilary Duff doing 4 of the exact teen movies over and over again. Alexa Vega. I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan. I would be really annoyed if anyone told me anything about what was going to happen in the last 8 episodes. Nikolai Coster-Waldau. Typically, we get annoyed when our spouses complain. We get defensive. But, really, when your spouse complains, he or she is giving you wonderful information about what would make him or her feel loved. Gary Chapman. Our relationship is very good. When he gets annoyed, I prefer not to reply because I know how he can react. I prefer to calmly count to 10. Thiago Silva. What I do is spend too much time thinking. Most of the time I just walk around annoyed. Would I describe myself as relatively happy? I suppose, but society gets to me. And the people that have mastered life seem to not care, and then they die, and then the grenade goes off. Neil Blomkamp. I think that it's interesting how shows like Walking Dead or even Game of Thrones, with all its fantasy elements, have become so popular. Sometimes, though, I get a little bit annoyed because the whole nerd thing taking over and is now cool, and it wasn't cool when I was younger. AJ Lee. Writing has been so much a part of my life that I'm really quite annoyed that I can't do as much as I used to. And McCaffrey. I know it sounds funny, but every time I have a disaster in the kitchen, it knocks my confidence level a little bit more, and I feel annoyed with myself that I can't do better. Leslie Nicole. My mother had to stop me reading to make me go and get some fresh air. I used to get so annoyed. She actually had to sit on my book because, otherwise, I would find it. Michelle Paver. I love my last-minute lifestyle because I just sort of don't have plans, and things kind of happen. Plans make me annoyed a little bit, personally. I'm not the most prompt, on-time person. Maxwell. I think people who lack humility are really annoying. Emily Van Camp. I am proud, but I'm annoyed with myself for not believing in myself enough. Lizzie Armitstead.